The Galactic Council chamber was alive with tension, the kind that made even the oldest delegates shift uncomfortably in their seats. A dozen species from across the stars filled the massive oval room, each one different in shape, size, and color. Some were tall and insect-like, with chittering mandibles. Others floated in the air, translucent and shimmering, communicating with soft pulses of light. Every one of them was focused on the same problem. Their voices, though distinct in tone, blended into a chaotic hum of panic. At the center of the chaos, the council leader banged a gavel-shaped instrument, calling for silence. "We have no time to waste," he shouted, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The Fourth Dominion has already consumed 4 star systems this week. Our fleets cannot hold them for long, and reinforcements are nowhere in sight." Some delegates hissed at the reminder. The Fourth Dominion was no ordinary enemy. They were relentless, efficient, and utterly merciless. Entire populations disappeared from planets overnight, leaving nothing but burned cities and silence. The Council had tried diplomacy, negotiation, even bribery, but the Vorth never responded to words. They only took and destroyed. A young historian from the Varanth species, small and unassuming, raised a trembling claw. "Excuse me," the historian said. His voice was quiet, but the chamber fell silent as he spoke. "There is something we have almost forgotten. Something from the old archives. There are mentions of a species called humans. Long ago they were called Deathworlders. They were said to be fierce, unpredictable, and almost mythical." Laughter erupted around the chamber. Tall, silver-skinned delegates scoffed, and the floating sherry pulses flickered with amusement. "Humans? That's a bedtime story for young officers," said a burly commander from the rock system. "We've been fighting for centuries, and now you tell us some long-dead species will save us?" "Ridiculous," the historian did not retreat. "I am not telling you this as a story. The archives describe humans who fought entire empires alone. Worlds feared them, yet somehow they disappeared. Some records say they left voluntarily, disappearing into the edge of space. Others claim they were wiped out. We do not know for sure." A low murmur passed through the council. Some of the older delegates shifted uneasily. Even the youngest and boldest began to wonder if there could be some truth hidden in the stories. One of the elders, a leathery horned being named Vornak, leaned forward. "I remember hearing these stories when I was a young officer," he said, his voice rough like gravel. "They were always told with reverence and fear. Entire fleets would retreat at the mere mention of humans. Planets that had never seen a human in their life would tremble when someone spoke their name." The laughter died down. A sense of unease spread through the room. Most delegates had dismissed the tales, but some wondered if the humans had been underestimated for a reason. The rock commander waved a dismissive claw. "Even if humans existed, what good are legends now? They are extinct, vanished into history. Our fleets are failing, our systems are burning, and we have nothing but memories of stories that may not even be true." But the historian was not finished. "There are signals, old transmissions that may still be detectable. If humans still exist, even in a corner of the galaxy, they may have the technology and strength we lack. We can try to find them. It is a long shot, but it is worth it. We have nothing else to lose." The council was silent for a moment, each delegate considering the proposal. To send a probe into uncharted sectors, searching for a species that may not exist, seemed desperate. But desperation had already reached every corner of the galaxy. They had already lost too much to inaction. Finally, the council leader nodded. "Prepare a long-range scan," he ordered. "We will search the sector where these humans were last known to exist. If they are gone, then at least we will know for certain. But if they remain, perhaps for the first time in centuries we have hope." The decision was met with mixed reactions. Some delegates shook their heads in disbelief, while others, who had seen countless empires fall, could not help but feel a glimmer of anticipation. In the outer reaches of the galaxy, the probes were launched, traveling faster than light through corridors that had been considered unsafe for centuries. Every system they passed was scanned, every signal analyzed. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months, yet the probes showed only empty star systems, burned planets, and the silent echoes of life that had long since disappeared. Then, in the edge of a remote sector, something appeared, a faint structured signal unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. It was not random noise nor the chaotic energy of collapsing stars. It was deliberate, patterned, and unmistakably artificial. The probe's instruments struggled to interpret it. As the data returned to the council, specialists discovered fragments of audio transmission, music, voices, and even coded data streams. The historian who had suggested the search could hardly believe his own eyes. "These are human signals," he whispered. "They have been here. All along. They were never gone." The council erupted in a mix of disbelief and excitement. Some species were skeptical, questioning the probe's readings. Others were overwhelmed with hope. If humans truly existed, if they had survived and continued to develop technology, then the galaxy might finally have an ally capable of standing against the Fourth Dominion. A diplomatic fleet was assembled. The fastest and most technologically advanced vessels available, they were sent to the coordinates where the signals originated, not expecting much more than ruins. The journey was tense. Every officer aboard the ships wondered if they would find history's greatest warriors or nothing at all. When they finally arrived, they found a star system that was familiar, yet strange. A blue and green planet orbited a bright yellow sun, its surface dotted with structures that reflected both human ingenuity and resilience. Cities sprawled across continents stretching into the skies. Massive orbital platforms floated in space, bristling with defenses. Fleets of ships patrolled the outer system, their designs unlike anything the galaxy had catalogued. The alien fleet hovered cautiously at the edge of the system, sending communication requests. They expected silence or automated responses, but the answer came quickly, precise and calm. "Identify yourselves. State your purpose." The response startled the council delegates. The voice was human, firm yet polite, but underlined with a confidence that immediately suggested they were dealing with a species unlike any other. The aliens began to realize that humans had not vanished into myth. They had been watching. They had prepared. The historian's hands shook as he read the report. The humans were alive, organized, and far more advanced than anyone had imagined. It was becoming clear that the legends were not exaggerations, and the Death Worlders' reputation for unpredictability and ferocity was justified. Some delegates suggested caution, worried about provoking a species that might see the Council's fleet as a threat. Others argued for immediate diplomatic engagement. The tension was thick. Every second the human fleet remained in orbit, observing silently, felt like a countdown toward a revelation that could change the galaxy forever. The council members whispered among themselves, trying to reconcile what they thought they knew about humans with the reality now unfolding before them. For centuries, humans had been stories told in hushed tones, cautionary tales about what could happen when a species refused to be tamed. Now they were real, alive, and watching. The historian stood, voice trembling with excitement. "We must proceed carefully," he said. "But we must not waste this opportunity. Humanity has returned, and the galaxy has a chance it has not had in generations. Whatever comes next, we will see history being made." In the quiet moments that followed, the council realized that for the first time in decades, there was a spark of hope. The Fourth Dominion had been unstoppable, but if the legends were true, if humans were indeed the warriors the myths described, then the tide of the galaxy's struggle might finally turn. Far above the planet, the humans watched silently, their warships gleaming under the sun. They had expected the galaxy to have forgotten them, to continue without their involvement. Yet here were the council delegates, desperate and pleading, unaware that humanity had always been ready. The council had called them a myth, a legend. But the humans were alive. They were real, and they had been preparing for this moment longer than anyone could imagine. No one in the chamber could know what the humans intended next. Some hoped for assistance. Others feared confrontation. But one thing was certain. The Death Worlders were no longer just stories. They had returned, and the galaxy was about to remember why they had been feared for centuries. The moment the first signals reached the Galactic Council, excitement mixed with disbelief filled the chamber. The historian had been right. Humans were alive. They were real. But no one yet knew what that meant. Some delegates were eager to send messages, to try diplomacy. Others were cautious, fearing that contacting a species so powerful could backfire. The council decided to act carefully. A small research and diplomatic fleet was assembled, made up of the fastest ships in their control. They were sleek, equipped with advanced sensors and communications arrays, and crewed by the best diplomats, scientists, and security officers the galaxy could offer. Their mission was simple: locate the humans, understand their intentions, and report back. Nothing more. Anything beyond that was strictly forbidden. The journey to Sol's system was tense. Ships moved silently through the void, engines humming with barely contained energy. For weeks, the fleet passed through empty space, scanning planets and asteroids, following the faint signals the probes had detected. The crew studied the transmissions obsessively, trying to decipher patterns, to understand what they were listening to. Pieces of music, coded messages, even fragments of what appeared to be old Earth literature floated across their screens. It was like listening to echoes from another time, a civilization that should have been lost but wasn't. On board one of the vessels, a young communications officer stared at the screen in disbelief. "Are these signals?" "They're old, but they're intact," the officer whispered. "It's as if they've been waiting for someone to hear them." The senior officer, a tall, armored figure from the Krath system, nodded slowly. "It seems humans are not just alive. They've been building, preparing, waiting." When the fleet finally arrived in the Sol system, what they found stunned everyone. From orbit, Earth was a patchwork of blue oceans, green continents, and glittering cities stretching toward the sky. Massive orbital stations hung above the planet, equipped with structures that shimmered with energy shields and docking ports. Ships of varying sizes patrolled the space around Earth, moving with a discipline and precision that no one had ever seen before. The fleet slowed instinctively, unsure how to approach. The first transmission from Earth arrived almost immediately. It was clear, calm, and precise. "Identify yourselves. State your purpose." The voice was human, measured, and firm. It carried authority but no aggression. The council delegates listened in awe. These were not the scattered, primitive humans of legend. They were organized, disciplined, and in full control of their home. The lead diplomat of the alien fleet attempted a reply. "We come from the Galactic Council. We seek assistance. A threat known as the Vorth Dominion has spread across the stars. Entire systems have fallen. We request your help." There was a long pause before the humans responded. "Your transmissions are received. We have observed your situation. Clarify your fleet's intent. Are you here as ambassadors, or are you here to enforce authority?" Their tone was neutral but carried the unmistakable weight of someone accustomed to command. The alien diplomat faltered. We seek counsel and, if possible, assistance." The humans replied without hesitation. "Your presence is noted. Remain at your current coordinates. We will assess your request. Do not move closer without clearance." For the first time, the council realized that humans had not only survived, but had mastered space travel and defense far beyond what anyone had expected. The orbital stations bristling around Earth were not for show. They were strategic installations, fully capable of defending the planet against even the largest of threats. As the fleet waited, more transmissions arrived. Automated systems scanned their communications, learning patterns, languages, and even cultural cues from the alien visitors. Earth's defenses were silent, yet every movement was precise. It was as if the planet itself was alive, watching and evaluating, deciding whether these newcomers were friend or foe. On board the human command station, officers discussed the alien arrival in low voices. "They've come asking for help," said one. "Do we intervene?" "They don't know what they are asking for," another replied. "We've waited long enough. The galaxy doesn't know how to survive on its own anymore. Perhaps it's time we remind them what humans are capable of." Back in the council chamber, panic and excitement mixed. The historian explained every detail of the transmissions. They are alive, organized, and cautious. But more than that, they are watching. Every move we make is being observed and analyzed. They are not naive, and they are not helpless. Some delegates were skeptical. "Even if they exist, what can they do now?" asked one. "It has been centuries. They are probably weak, isolated, and far from capable of helping against the Vorth." But the reports from the fleet told a different story. Humans had rebuilt Earth into a fortress of technology and innovation. Their fleets patrolled the system with precision, and their orbital stations could withstand attacks that would destroy entire planets. Weeks passed as the council tried to communicate. Every transmission was met with polite but firm responses from humans. They were calm, unhurried, yet their presence alone spoke volumes. The aliens realized that they were dealing with a species that had not only survived, but had thrived under harsh conditions. They had endured wars, planetary disasters, and isolation, yet had become stronger, smarter, and more prepared than any species currently in the galaxy. Finally, a delegation of humans prepared to meet the alien fleet. Their ships descended toward the Council fleet, sleek and imposing. Every detail of their movement was controlled, precise and intimidating. As the ships approached, the aliens felt a mix of awe and fear. These were not the fragile humans described in stories. They were warriors, engineers, and strategists, all rolled into one. When the human delegation made contact, they appeared on communication screens. A human officer, calm and composed, addressed the alien fleet. "We have been observing your situation. You have not acted wisely, and yet you are here asking for assistance. Tell me, why should we help a galaxy that has forgotten us?" The question hung in the air, sharp and piercing. The Council diplomats struggled to answer. Their words faltered. Their explanations seemed weak against the weight of humanity's presence. The humans were not aggressive, but their confidence and clarity made the aliens feel exposed, judged and unprepared. One of the human officers continued, "We have waited for centuries watching the galaxy spiral into chaos. We did not interfere, because interference requires judgment, and we wished to see if you were capable of survival. Now you seek our aid, but you have already proven that you cannot stand on your own. We will decide whether to intervene, and our decision will be final." The alien fleet fell silent. The historian's voice trembled as he spoke. They are not just alive. They are fully aware, fully prepared, and fully in control. The stories were not exaggerations. Humanity has returned. The humans spent days analyzing every system in the Sol sector, every ship in the alien fleet, and every message sent. They evaluated the alien technologies, military capabilities, and diplomatic intentions. It was clear they were testing the visitors, understanding them, and deciding whether they were worthy of trust. For the aliens, it was a humbling experience. They had faced empires, threats, and betrayals, yet they had never encountered a species that could stand so firmly without aggression. The humans did not need to threaten them. Their presence alone was enough to command respect and fear. As the days turned into weeks, the Council began to realize a simple truth. If humans chose to intervene, no force in the galaxy could stand against them, and for the first time the galaxy felt a spark of hope. The Fourth Dominion, which had seemed unstoppable, might finally meet an enemy capable of challenging them. The historian spoke quietly to a fellow delegate. "We believed humans were extinct, a story to frighten children. But now we see they are real, and they have been preparing all along. The legends, the myths, they were only half the story. The reality is far greater than anyone could have imagined." Meanwhile, on Earth, human officers continued to observe, to plan, and to wait. They had survived centuries of isolation, disasters, and wars. They had rebuilt, reorganized, and prepared. Now they were ready to decide the fate of a galaxy that had long forgotten them. The first contact had been made, and the Council knew it. But what came next was uncertain. Would humans choose to help, or would they remain silent, letting the galaxy face its destiny without intervention? The tension was palpable, and every delegate knew that history was being written before their eyes. One thing was clear to everyone involved. Humanity was no longer a myth, a legend, or a story told in whispers. They were alive, powerful, and fully in control, and the galaxy would never forget that they had returned. The alien fleet hovered cautiously above the blue and green planet, unsure of what to expect. For weeks they had been communicating with the humans, receiving calm, measured replies that hinted at immense capability and intelligence. Yet nothing had prepared them for the reality of seeing the human fleet in motion. From orbit, the alien delegates watched as ships of all sizes moved with precision, unlike anything they had ever seen. Sleek frigates flitted around larger carriers, escorting them in tight formations. Massive capital ships floated like mountains in space, their surfaces bristling with weapons, shields, and sensors. The humans did not rush. They did not panic. Every movement was deliberate, controlled, and efficient. The historian on the alien flagship could hardly contain his excitement. They are fully operational, and these ships, they are enormous compared to anything we have. He leaned closer to the viewport, eyes wide. And the coordination? It's like they are reading each other's minds. A Krath officer, tall and armored, shifted uncomfortably. They are not just ships. They are a message. Everything about them says, "Do not underestimate us." Suddenly, A transmission arrived from one of the human capital ships. The voice was calm, firm, and unyielding. State your intentions clearly. Do not approach without authorization. This is your only warning. The alien diplomats hesitated, realizing that the humans were not just observing. They were testing, establishing boundaries, and setting the rules of engagement. Every moment spent in orbit was an evaluation, and the humans controlled it entirely. The lead diplomat responded carefully. We come from the Galactic Council. Our systems are under attack by a force called the Vorth Dominion. We request your aid to protect our civilizations. There was a pause. Then the human officer spoke, calm but pointed. You have done little to defend yourselves. Your fleets are scattered, your systems are vulnerable, and yet you expect us to intervene. Why should we risk our lives for a galaxy that has abandoned its own? The words struck deep into the hearts of the council delegates. They had hoped for a gentle ally, perhaps a species that would listen to their pleas. Instead, they were met with a challenge, not one of aggression but of judgment. The humans demanded accountability. On Earth, in a massive command center overlooking the orbital stations, human officers discussed the situation quietly. They are desperate, said one, observing the alien fleet through holographic displays. They think they can call for help and we will respond. But they need to prove themselves first. They need to show they are capable of survival without us intervening. Another officer nodded. We've waited long enough. They should have learned by now that the galaxy cannot survive on its own. Perhaps this is the moment to teach them what it means to face true power responsibly. The alien fleet was unaware of the discussions on Earth. They only saw the humans' measured movements, their immense ships and their disciplined formations. It became clear that these were not ordinary humans. They were a species molded by hardship, a civilization tempered by challenges that no one else could imagine. Finally, the human delegation offered a compromise. We will not attack. We will not interfere unless provoked. But know this: if you act recklessly or fail to coordinate, you will find yourselves unprotected when the consequences arrive. The alien fleet realized that the humans were testing them, teaching them. Every action, every decision was being watched and evaluated. The humans had not come to rescue them out of pity. They had come to see whether the galaxy deserved their assistance. Over the following days, the alien fleet worked to demonstrate its capabilities. They ran drills, showed off their weapons systems, and attempted to coordinate their scattered fleets. Yet under the scrutiny of the humans, they struggled. Their formations faltered, communication lines lagged, and even their most advanced weapons failed to impress. The historian, watching the drills, whispered, "This is what the legends were talking about. Humans are not just warriors. They are teachers, leaders, and judges. They are shaping the galaxy by forcing others to rise to their level." Then came the first real test. A small Vorth scout fleet, sensing the alien presence, entered the system. It was a chance for the humans to observe without engaging fully. The alien fleet prepared for combat, unsure of what to expect. But the humans did not panic. Their smaller ships moved first, slipping between the alien ships and the approaching scouts. They acted with precision, guiding, supporting, and protecting the alien vessels without firing a single shot. It was clear that the humans were assessing the aliens' ability to respond, teaching them tactics and strategy in real time. When the Vorth scouts realized the humans were present, they hesitated. These were not ordinary defenses. The humans had command over their systems and ships in ways that even the Vorth, feared across countless star systems, had not experienced. The scouts retreated, confused and wary. The council delegates watching the entire event were awestruck. "They've done nothing but maneuver, yet they've forced the enemy to retreat," muttered one. "And the aliens, the council's own fleet, they are learning. They are adapting." On Earth, the human officers observed silently. "They have potential," one said, "but they lack discipline. We can help them, but only if they follow our guidance." Another added, "And if they fail, we will not interfere." Lessons come at a cost. The next days were filled with exercises. Humans taught coordination, strategy, and efficiency. They explained formations that allowed smaller fleets to maximize impact, methods for defending planets without wasting resources, and ways to communicate during battle that minimized confusion. The aliens absorbed everything, often fumbling, often overwhelmed, but slowly improving under the humans' strict oversight. The historian noted, This is not just help. This is a test. Humans are proving their legends were true. They are powerful, yes, but more than that, they are deliberate. Every move is calculated, every decision considered. They are shaping the galaxy by their actions, not their words. Eventually, the aliens had a chance to communicate one-on-one with human officers. "We appreciate your guidance," said a Krath captain. "We are learning, but it is difficult to match your precision." A human officer smiled faintly. "You will learn, but you must understand we do not act without reason. Your systems, your people, you must take responsibility. The galaxy is not forgiving, and the Vorth are relentless. Our purpose is not to fight for you, but to show you how to fight for yourselves." The aliens were humbled. They had faced threats before, but never had they felt so unprepared. Yet the humans did not mock them, nor did they belittle them. They guided, corrected, and inspired. The aliens began to understand why humans had been feared. It was not just strength or weapons or strategy. It was the combination of intelligence, discipline, and courage that made humans legends. Then came the first coordinated mission. The humans led the alien fleet to a nearby system under Vorth attack. The aliens were nervous, unsure of their abilities. But the humans gave precise instructions. "Follow our lead. Stay in formation. Protect the civilians. Learn as you move." The battle began, and the aliens were amazed. Humans acted as one, fluid and precise. Every ship moved in perfect synchronization. Every attack calculated, every defense timed exactly. The Vorth forces, expecting chaos, found only order. They were outmaneuvered, outthought, and eventually forced to retreat. For the first time, the council delegates witnessed humans in action. The historian whispered, "They are living legends. Not myths, not stories, living proof of what was once thought impossible." After the battle, the aliens approached the humans to express gratitude. "You have saved lives we could not protect," one said. "We owe you thanks." The human officers shook their head. "We have shown you what can be done. You have the ability to defend your systems. The choice is yours. We will intervene if necessary, but only after you prove yourselves capable." The alien fleet returned to the council chamber, transformed. They were no longer desperate or panicked. They were inspired, motivated, and aware that a powerful force had returned to the galaxy. Humanity had proven not only that they were alive, but that they were capable of teaching, leading, and reshaping the future of entire civilizations. The historian turned to the council and said quietly, "We thought humans were gone, a legend from a distant past. But they are real. They are alive, and they are guiding us. And one day the galaxy will remember why they were feared, and why they were called Deathworlders." As the alien fleet regrouped, the humans observed silently from orbit, waiting. They had made their point. They had shown power without aggression, discipline without cruelty, and guidance without dominance. The galaxy had been reminded of what it had long forgotten. Humans were no myth, no story, but a force to be reckoned with. The question now was not whether humans were real, it was what they would do next. And the galaxy waited, holding its collective breath. The alien fleet watched in stunned silence as the humans finally began to move. After weeks of observation, training, and careful evaluation, it became clear that this was no ordinary fleet preparing for battle. The Terran Armada, as the humans called it, was awakening. Ships that had been stationed silently in orbit now slid into formation with a fluid precision that made the alien crews shiver with awe. From the Council fleet's vantage point, it looked like the sky itself had come alive. Hundreds of vessels, some massive, some nimble, began moving as one. There was no noise, no confusion, only coordination so exact that it seemed impossible. Every ship had a purpose, every maneuver was calculated, and every formation carried the weight of experience that spanned centuries. The historian whispered almost to himself, This is what they meant. The legends were not exaggerations. Humanity is capable of organizing on a scale no one else has ever achieved." A Krath officer, his armored shell glinting in the reflection of distant stars, added, "It is not just organization. It is intent. They are not simply moving ships. They are sending a message. We are here and the galaxy will remember." The humans moved cautiously but with confidence. Their fleet was not rushing into battle. It was asserting its presence. Their smaller escort ships flitted around the larger carriers and warships, protecting them while also displaying agility and strength. Every movement seemed deliberate, as if the Armada were a living entity, breathing and shifting with purpose. The council delegates, observing from their screens, could barely believe what they were seeing. Their own fleets, though technologically advanced, seemed clumsy in comparison. Every human maneuver highlighted the gap between legends and reality. The historians and military officers aboard the council ships were whispering in disbelief. They had expected myth. They had expected exaggeration. They had not expected this level of control and power. Then the first communication from the human flagship arrived. The voice was calm, authoritative, and entirely human. Yet it carried an unspoken weight that made every listener sit up straighter. "We have observed your attempts to manage your systems. We have seen your fleet scattered, your defenses lacking coordination. You ask for help, yet you have not taken responsibility for your own survival. Our intervention is not guaranteed. We will act if necessary, but we will also assess your ability to stand." The alien fleets were silent. The words were not a threat, yet they carried a power greater than any weapon could convey. They realized they were in the presence of a species that could change the course of history merely through presence, discipline, and confidence. In the following days, the Terran Armada began moving beyond Earth's orbit, advancing slowly into nearby star systems. It was a demonstration, a show of power, and a test all in one. Alien scouts followed cautiously, recording every detail. They noted the incredible speed and precision of the human vessels, the way large carriers protected smaller ships without slowing down, and the efficiency with which every weapon system and defense grid could be activated. As the humans moved, they avoided any unnecessary aggression. There were no attacks, no hostile maneuvers, no displays of violence. Yet the alien fleets could feel the presence of immense power radiating from every ship. The humans had created not just a fleet, but a force that could control space itself. The historian watching the data streams commented, "They are teaching the galaxy what it means to prepare." This is not an invasion. It is a demonstration. They are showing what humanity can do without firing a single shot. Even the smallest human vessels displayed incredible capability. They maneuvered around asteroids, debris fields, and gravitational hazards with ease, protecting themselves and their larger counterparts. Every pilot seemed to know exactly where to be, what to do, and how to act in perfect harmony with the fleet. Alien commanders tried to replicate the movements with their own ships, but they struggled. Communication lagged, formations faltered, and mistakes were made. Every error highlighted the skill gap between human pilots and even the most experienced alien crews. Meanwhile, on Earth, the human command center remained calm. Officers monitored their ships, the alien fleets, and distant star systems. "They are learning," one officer said quietly. "They are improving, but they have much to understand. Let them see our strength. Let them understand that humans do not rush blindly into war. We act with purpose, but when we act, consequences follow." The human admiral overseeing the Armada watched as the alien fleets attempted to mirror their formations. He shook his head slightly. "They have potential, but coordination comes from discipline, not technology alone. They must understand responsibility. Let them fail in minor ways so they learn for the future." Suddenly, a signal reached the Terran fleet. A nearby system had fallen to the Vorth Dominion. The humans paused, analyzing the situation carefully. This was not an immediate threat to them, but it was an opportunity, a test for the Council fleets and a chance to demonstrate human efficiency and decision-making. The Admiral addressed his officers. "Prepare a detachment. Move to contain the threat without firing unless necessary. Observe and correct. Our goal is not to destroy. It is to teach and protect." The fleet shifted with fluid grace. Smaller human ships moved ahead to scout the system, while larger vessels positioned themselves strategically around the planet. Energy shields flared to life, forming invisible barriers that would prevent the Vorth from escaping or attacking civilians. Communication lines pulsed, guiding every maneuver, every ship, and every pilot. From the alien fleet's perspective, it was mesmerizing. The humans were demonstrating a new way of warfare, one that did not rely solely on brute force but on strategy, coordination, and discipline. Even without firing a shot, they had effectively contained an enemy fleet. The Vorth scouts, sensing the human presence, hesitated. They had been attacking systems with impunity, expecting easy victories. Now they faced a force they could not understand. The humans' movements were precise, confident and completely unpredictable to the enemy. One by one, the Vorth withdrew, their aggression replaced by caution. The council delegates could hardly believe what they were witnessing. Ships that had seemed formidable were now retreating from humans who had not yet fired a single weapon. The historian whispered, "This is the reality behind the legends. Humans do not need to fight to command respect. Their presence alone changes the tide of conflict." After the Vorth retreated, the human detachment did not celebrate. They continued to monitor the system, ensuring civilian safety and analyzing the alien fleet's response. The lesson was clear. Power without control is meaningless, but power exercised with discipline is unstoppable. The alien fleet had learned much in these days. They saw firsthand the difference between technology and experience, between aggression and strategy. The humans were not only powerful, they were deliberate, disciplined, and patient. Every movement was designed to teach, guide, and prepare the galaxy for the challenges ahead. Back on Earth, the Admiral reflected quietly. The galaxy has forgotten how to survive. It has relied too long on stories and myths, not preparation and courage. We will show them what it means to face threats with wisdom, strength, and unity. The Terran Armada continued its slow advance, moving system by system, demonstrating both power and restraint. Alien fleets followed, learning and adapting, often struggling to match the humans' pace. Every formation, every maneuver, every decision was a lesson in efficiency and discipline. The council delegates were becoming aware of a simple truth. Humans had returned not just as a species, but as a force that could shape the galaxy's destiny. Their ships, their strategy, and their presence were enough to inspire hope, fear, and respect all at once. The historian summed it up quietly to a colleague. They thought humans were legends, stories told to frighten or inspire. But the Armada has proven the legends were real, and the galaxy has no choice but to pay attention. As the Terran fleet moved deeper into space, their ships gleaming under distant suns, the aliens could only watch and learn. The humans had arrived not to conquer, not to boast, but to remind the galaxy of something long forgotten. The Dead Worlders were alive, disciplined, and more powerful than anyone had imagined. The question hanging over the council was simple yet terrifying. If the humans chose to fight, if they decided to intervene fully, what could possibly stop them? For now, the Armada moved with purpose, silent yet commanding, leaving the galaxy to realize a simple truth. Legends are real, and when they return, everything changes. The Terran Armada had now moved beyond the edge of the Sol system, reaching neighboring star systems that had already felt the shadow of the Vorth dominion. These systems were scarred. Planets with cities destroyed, orbital stations reduced to debris, and signals of distress that echoed through space like cries for help. The alien fleets that accompanied humanity were tense, unsure of what to expect. They had seen the humans' precision in exercises, but they had not yet witnessed them in real combat. The first signs of the Vorth were detected almost immediately. Scouts reported large enemy formations moving between planets, firing indiscriminately, leaving entire populations vulnerable. The alien delegates whispered nervously among themselves. "They are here," one said, "and there is no way we can match them." The humans moved carefully. Their ships spread out, forming overlapping defensive grids, shielding inhabited worlds from attack without unnecessary aggression. The alien crews noticed that every Terran vessel seemed to have a role, and every role was perfectly executed. The smallest frigate could protect an entire colony, and the largest battleship could control a system with minimal energy expenditure. "Observe carefully," said one human officer to the alien fleet. "Do not engage unless necessary. Watch how coordination and strategy can control a battle without overwhelming destruction. There is much to learn." The first encounter was swift. A Vorth raiding group attacked a mining planet expecting an easy target. They were met with calculated resistance. Terran ships deployed shields that deflected attacks, then used targeted disruption pulses to disable enemy weapons temporarily. The aliens watched in awe as the Vorth ships, which had been feared across multiple sectors, were forced to retreat without a single Terran vessel being damaged. The historian, reviewing the battle from the Council fleet, whispered, "They are teaching, not just fighting. Humans are showing that raw power is not everything. Coordination, timing, and precision matter more than brute force." The Vorth regrouped, sending larger fleets toward the systems the humans had entered. They had never encountered an opponent like this. The Terran ships moved as one, anticipating enemy maneuvers, cutting off escape routes and isolating threats before they could cause damage. Every engagement was precise and efficient. The alien fleets following behind tried to replicate these tactics but struggled. Communications lagged, formations faltered, and their weapon systems misfired. The humans, while not interfering directly with their allies, used the situation to demonstrate effective strategy. Every failure by the alien fleets became a lesson in what it meant to fight with intelligence and discipline. Then came the first large-scale confrontation. A Vorth fleet, far larger than anything the Terran ships had encountered, moved to attack a populated system. Their numbers were overwhelming, their weapons devastating. The alien fleet began to panic, unsure if their combined forces could withstand the onslaught. The humans responded methodically. Their flagship transmitted clear commands, and the Armada shifted into a formation that was both defensive and offensive. Smaller ships moved ahead to scout, while larger vessels positioned themselves to protect key planets. Energy barriers flared to life, blocking attacks, while sensor arrays calculated every possible trajectory of incoming weapons. When the battle began, it was almost silent. There were no chaotic explosions or frantic maneuvers. Instead, each Terran vessel moved deliberately, firing only when necessary, striking with precision and retreating strategically when required. The Vorth were unprepared for this level of control. Their attacks, which had previously destroyed entire worlds, were now neutralized or redirected, leaving them frustrated and off balance. The alien delegates could hardly believe what they were seeing. Ships that had seemed unstoppable were retreating, disabled not by overwhelming firepower, but by the humans' superior tactics and coordination. One officer whispered, "They are not just strong, they are smarter, faster, and more disciplined than anything we have faced." The legends. They are true. In the aftermath of the battle, the humans did not celebrate. They continued to monitor the systems, repairing damage, providing aid, and ensuring civilian populations were protected. Every action was measured, purposeful, and designed to demonstrate responsibility. They were not conquerors. They were protectors, teachers, and leaders. The alien fleets had a chance to debrief with the human officers. "Your tactics are incredible," said a Krath captain. "We have never seen such coordination. How do you achieve this?" A human officer smiled faintly. "Discipline, preparation, and understanding. We fight not just with weapons, but with planning, intelligence, and unity. You have potential, but coordination comes from training and responsibility, not technology alone." As the Terran Armada continued its campaign across multiple systems, the galaxy began to take notice. Messages spread from planet to planet. Humans were real, and they were intervening not out of conquest, but out of purpose. Systems previously lost to the Vorth began to hope again. Civilian populations who had lived in fear for decades saw ships appear in orbit, shields rising, weapons poised not to destroy but to protect. The historian observed, "This is what the galaxy has been waiting for. Humans have returned not to dominate but to restore balance. They are legends made flesh, capable of turning the tide without resorting to cruelty or excessive force." In one particularly tense encounter, a Vorth fleet attempted a surprise attack on a mining colony. The humans responded instantly, using their advanced sensors to detect every ship. Smaller Terran vessels formed a protective screen around the colony, while larger ships moved to intercept the Vorth. Using calculated disruptions, energy pulses, and coordinated maneuvers, the humans forced the enemy fleet to retreat. Not a single civilian ship was lost, and the Vorth were left confused and demoralized. The alien observers could only watch in amazement. They had never witnessed a species so capable of controlling a battle without chaos. Every human action sent a clear message. Skill, planning, and discipline were far more powerful than raw aggression. The council delegates began to understand the full scope of humanity's strength. The historian spoke quietly to a colleague. "They are not just fighters. They are teachers, strategists, and leaders. Every move is deliberate, every engagement controlled. The galaxy has forgotten what it means to fight with intelligence. Humans are reminding us. Even the Vorth began to fear the humans. Their attacks became hesitant, cautious, and disorganized. They had faced countless species, countless fleets, and countless planets. Yet they were unable to understand or counter the human approach. The Terran Armada was not just a military force. It was a demonstration of superiority in strategy, planning, and execution. The humans also worked to train and guide the alien fleets. Every engagement became a lesson. When alien ships faltered or made mistakes, the humans provided guidance, showing how to move, when to strike, and how to coordinate effectively. By the end of each operation, the aliens were improving, learning faster than ever before, inspired by the humans' discipline and leadership. The historian whispered, "We believed the humans were extinct, a story, a legend. But now we see the truth. They are alive and they are shaping the galaxy. Every system they save, every fleet they guide proves the stories were not myths. Humans are not just survivors. They are teachers, protectors, and leaders." As the Terran Armada moved from system to system, they became more than a fleet. They became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest times, discipline, courage, and intelligence could turn the tide. Alien populations once oppressed by the Vorth began to rise in hope, inspired by the presence of humans. Everywhere the Armada went, the message was clear. Humans were back, and they were a force that demanded respect. The Vorth, the galaxy's feared conquerors, were forced to retreat again and again, unable to adapt to the humans' precision and strategy. Even the alien fleets accompanying the humans were transformed. They were learning not just to fight, but to plan, to coordinate, and to act with responsibility. They were witnessing a species that combined intelligence, discipline, and courage in ways that no one had thought possible. By the end of the campaign and the first wave of systems, the humans had not only saved countless lives, but had also changed the way the galaxy thought about war, strategy, and leadership. They had proven that legends were real, and that when the Dead Worlders returned, they brought with them more than just power. They brought hope, guidance, and a vision for a galaxy capable of surviving its darkest threats. The historian looked at the reports and whispered, "They thought humans were myths. They thought the stories were exaggerations. But now the Armada has proven the legends true. The galaxy has seen what humans are capable of, and it will never forget." And as the Terran ships glided silently through space, the message was clear. The Dead Worlders had returned. They were alive, disciplined, and powerful beyond imagination. The Vorth would remember them, the alien fleets would remember them, and the galaxy itself would remember them. The galaxy was holding its breath. After weeks of careful observation, calculated demonstrations, and precise engagements, the Terran Armada had shown the universe what humans were capable of. Entire sectors that had been under Vorth control now had hope, and alien fleets that had once been terrified were beginning to trust in the guidance of humanity. Yet the final confrontation, the ultimate test of the Dead Worlders' power and strategy, was still ahead. The Vorth Dominion, sensing the rising human influence, consolidated their forces. Massive fleets, some of the largest the galaxy had ever seen, gathered near critical systems, preparing to strike back and reclaim what had been lost. They underestimated the humans. They believed that these so-called legends, these survivors from a forgotten era, were still primitive, unprepared, and vulnerable. From Earth's orbit, the Terran Command Center monitored the movement of the Vorth forces. Officers studied every signal, every ship, and every potential path the enemy could take. "They are gathering their forces," said one officer. "They believe they can challenge us, let them. This is what we have prepared for." The admiral overseeing the Armada addressed the fleet. "We have waited for this moment. Every system we have saved, every fleet we have guided, has led to this. Remember your training, trust your discipline, and act with purpose. We do not fight recklessly. We do not fight blindly. We fight to end this threat once and for all." As the Terran Armada moved toward the Vorth, the galaxy watched in awe. Alien fleets trailing behind humans were tense, some terrified, some inspired. The scale of the approaching battle was unlike anything they had ever imagined. The humans moved in perfect formation, a living demonstration of strategy, power, and coordination. The first contact occurred at the edge of a system near a vital industrial planet. Vorth scouts detected the human presence and prepared to attack. They expected chaos, confusion, and hesitation. Instead, they were met with precision. The Terran ships moved like a single organism. Shields flared, weapons locked, and every attack from the Vorth was anticipated, countered, or redirected. Within minutes, the Vorth scouts were neutralized, forced to retreat or be captured. The alien observers gasped. Even their most advanced fleets had never faced such control. The humans were not just powerful, they were smarter, faster, and more deliberate than any other species in the galaxy. One Krath officer whispered, "We have been afraid of the Vorth for centuries. But humans have changed everything." The Terran Armada advanced deeper into the system, confronting the main Vorth forces. Hundreds of ships, massive warships, and assault fleets filled the space. The Vorth commanders believed their overwhelming numbers would guarantee victory. They had faced countless opponents before and expected humans to fall like the rest. The Terran admiral studied the enemy formation calmly. "They are confident." "They are powerful, yes, but they are predictable. Exploit their overconfidence. Control the flow of the battle and we will win without unnecessary losses." The first strikes were precise. Humans targeted key weapon systems, disabling them without destroying entire vessels. They disrupted communication networks, preventing the Vorth from coordinating their attacks. Smaller human ships acted as decoys and shields, protecting critical targets while larger vessels maneuvered for strategic advantage. Every move was deliberate, every action calculated. The alien fleets accompanying the humans tried to follow their example. At first, confusion reigned. Messages crossed at the wrong time, formations faltered, and weapons misfired. But under human guidance, they began to adapt. By the end of the first hour, alien ships were moving more effectively, protecting civilians and following orders with a precision they had never achieved before. The Vorth, realizing their attacks were failing, grew frantic. They had never faced an opponent who could anticipate their every move without hesitation. Their fleet became disorganized, their attacks wasted on defenses that were perfectly timed and positioned. The Terran Armada had turned their aggression into vulnerability. From the human command center, officers monitored every aspect of the battle. "Notice how each enemy movement has a counter," said one. "Notice how every attack they launch is anticipated. This is what discipline and preparation achieve. They are learning, but they must act now. Delay will cost them." The battle escalated. Massive Vorth warships attempted direct assaults, firing volleys of energy and missiles toward the human fleet. Shields absorbed the impacts, while human frigates used electronic disruption pulses to disable weapons and engines temporarily. Enemy ships that had once terrorized entire star systems were now incapacitated without permanent destruction. The alien delegates were astonished. "We have never seen such restraint combined with power," whispered a historian. "They are not here to destroy, yet the enemy cannot act. Every strike is calculated, every defense is flawless. They are legends alive, demonstrating mastery beyond imagination." As the battle continued, the Terran fleet pressed forward. They began liberating occupied planets, disabling enemy installations without harming civilian populations. Vorth forces were being systematically dismantled. Ships surrendered, retreating, or were captured, but the humans ensured minimal unnecessary loss of life. Every move reinforced the principle that power should be used wisely, not recklessly. The Vorth leadership, watching from the rear of their fleet, could not comprehend what was happening. Their overwhelming numbers were irrelevant. Their experience, which had made them feared for centuries, was meaningless against the humans' precision and strategy. The Deadworlders were not just fighting. They were redefining the rules of engagement. The alien fleets, inspired and guided by the humans, began to act with confidence. They were no longer panicked, no longer disorganized. Under human instruction, they were coordinating attacks, protecting civilians, and using strategy effectively. The galaxy watched in disbelief as a species once thought extinct not only fought but elevated entire civilizations to new levels of capability. In the middle of the battle, the Terran admiral made a critical decision. Focus on the Vorth command ship. Disable it without destroying the fleet entirely. The moment their leadership falls, the rest will follow. Precision, not destruction. Control, not chaos. Human warships executed the maneuver flawlessly. Targeting arrays locked on the enemy command vessel. Electronic pulses disrupted communications, engines failed, and weapons were disabled. Within minutes, the command ship was incapacitated. The remaining Vorth ships faltered, confused, and retreated into uncharted space. The alien fleets cheered, but the humans remained calm. Their work was not done. They continued to secure planets, protect civilians, and restore order. The lesson was clear. The galaxy could be saved, but only through discipline, intelligence, and coordination. The historian turned to the council delegates, voice filled with awe. They said humans were myths, legends lost to time. But look at what they have done. They did not destroy recklessly. They did not conquer. They restored hope, discipline, and order. They are alive, they are real, and they are shaping the galaxy in ways no one else could. On Earth, in the command center, the Admiral addressed his officers quietly. We have won this battle, but remember, victory is not in destruction alone. Victory is in preparation, strategy, and guidance. The galaxy has learned what it means to fight responsibly, and we have reminded them why humans are feared, respected, and remembered. As the Vorth fleets retreated, systems across the galaxy celebrated. Planets that had been under occupation were freed. Civilizations that had been living in terror saw humans as protectors and teachers. The alien fleets, once hesitant and fearful, now moved with newfound confidence, ready to defend themselves under human guidance. The historian whispered one last time, "They thought humans were legends. They thought the stories were myths. But now the dead worlders have returned and the galaxy remembers. They are real, they are powerful, and they are guiding us into a future where hope is not lost and discipline, courage, and intelligence are supreme." The Terran Armada returned to orbit around Earth, its mission accomplished. Ships docked, crews rested, and communications were sent to every corner of the galaxy. The humans had not conquered, had not destroyed, but they had changed the course of history. The galaxy would never forget this day. The dead worlders were real, alive, and capable of reshaping the stars. The Vorth had learned respect, the alien fleets had learned discipline, and the civilizations of countless worlds had learned hope. And as the Terran Admiral looked out into space, he knew the truth. Humanity had returned, not as myths, not as stories, but as legends alive, guiding the galaxy into a future that had long been uncertain, and nothing would ever be the same again.